The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining today's webinar on Sana. My name is Allie Phillips. I'm in Sales and Marketing here at the DM Group, and I'm going to be your host. Presenting today, we have Giuseppe, who is the VP of Sales over at Sana, so a huge thank you to him. A couple of things to go over before we get started. If you have any questions, please type them out in the questions box or the chat window, whichever you prefer, and we'll read those aloud at the end. And this is also being recorded, so if you have any future questions, feel free to shoot me an email and I'll help you out with that. So with that being said, I'll hand things over to you, Giuseppe.
Excellent, thank you, and welcome everybody who's either watching this now or on demand. We're here to talk a little bit more about some of the more common challenges we're seeing in the manufacturing distribution space in particular, and what to look out for as an organization. So just to lead things off, again, as Ali mentioned, my name's Giuseppe Anni with Sana Commerce. I have about 15 years a background in working with ERP and e-commerce in particular. Today we'll talk a little bit more and begin by talking about the maturity of customers in this space, where people are today, where they've come from, and where the market's moving to. We'll talk about some of the major trends impacting manufacturers in the space today. Some of the more common obstacles organizations run into as they try to transform their organization and prepare for the future and meet customer demand or exceed customer demand for that matter. And we'll wrap up by talking a little bit about how Sana can help you come to realize a faster way to get online and go to market, but also a more efficient way as a business to operate and get there. So as we begin, we'll be talking a little bit about the current state of commerce, where it's at today. And as we look at some of the statistics, we also look at where you guys are at today, maybe those in the audience. Most people are still at e-commerce 1.0, heavy focus, right, on the foundational ways of just getting your business online, which is what many people will call that first generation commerce. We see a slow transition over to Commerce 2.0, a more sales-centric, right? How do we sell more business online? We've got online, but we want to sell more. We want to generate more revenue. We then get into the more hyper-personalized type experience, where we see a very small subset of organizations at today, where you're getting into more unique catalogs, more personalized checkout experiences that are based on the unique individual on the website interacting with an organization. So a very different spread as we look at where organizations are at today, but still the bulk of them still sitting somewhere between 1.0 and 2.0 as we look at the overall maturity. Though as we look at organizations today, most, again, as I mentioned earlier, still very heavily sales focused, right? They want more revenue out of the website, and that's really what they're looking to get out of their customers. And as we look at that number, I noted that 84% indicated in this survey that was run here that they're currently implementing or have operated a web store. So those on the phone, I'm not sure if you have commerce or not, but a high percentage, again, more than 4 out of 5 are currently evaluating implementing a web store, right, to increase the amount of sales that they have as an organization. Although of that, 48% indicated that driving sales was a top priority in their business, which I think is what aligns here with the graphic. Though while driving sales in an online sales channel turned out to be more important for retails in particular, 65% indicated it was a top priority to get there, right? And besides driving sales, e-commerce initiatives also appear to be heavily motivated by the need to improve the overall customer experience. So while selling is important, improving how we treat or interact with our customers overall from a business efficiency standpoint is very, very important. Goals that I think organizations have, and when done well, will overall lead to an increase in customer sales. And we can see some of the other metrics here also pulled through by this independent report we ran with Sapio Research. So as you talk to us, and us being entwined in the e-commerce environment for quite some time now, you've heard a lot of buzzwords come into the picture over the years, right? Whether it was this digital transformation here today, or some of the more common ones we heard in the past. Where are the more common challenges that distributors today in the marketplace are facing? And that's what I want to dive into a little bit more. Well, most distributors here note that they have some type of e-commerce site today, though the vast majority don't have an e-commerce site still, but do plan to implement a site over the next 1 to 2 years. So pretty interesting stats. Just a little bit more than half of the distributors have a site. although more than 3/4 plan to implement one over the next 2 to 3 years that don't have a site. So a pretty astounding stat. We notice here that distributors today are also investing in e-commerce in order to drive more sales, as we mentioned. And that distributors are selling online to reach new customers, right? It's not that they want to necessarily capture and do better, but they also want to expand out, whether it's expanding into new markets, picking up new channels, or expanding internationally, right? A lot of additional ways for these brands to get out there and find new customers, especially with the increased presence of Amazon, even in the B2B space. They recognize an opportunity out there because it is happening. It's just a matter of getting online and finding those new organizations and educating them on what you have to offer. So as we get into distribution in particular, many suppliers right today are already eliminating the need for distributors by selling directly to retailers or even end consumers. You've seen that trend over the last 2 years really ramp up more and more. And I think distributors now are more so faced to specialize in the services or product that they're delivering and really provide more value, right? And there's a lot of different outside factors here that I've kind of highlighted here that are coming into the picture. So, organizations asking themselves, how do we find and how do we add more value? So as we look at the past with the brand going through the distributor consumer, now the brand going through some of the other commerce engines or advertising to get directly out to that customer. And this shift, again, in this digital process is posing a threat, I think, to the vitality of a lot of distributors with how they play in that supply chain, which for many organizations can be rather complex. We note today that 68% of North American B2B manufacturers or distributors and wholesalers are starting to sell directly to the consumer. And about half of those guys are upgrading their infrastructure today to improve their integration. So as you look at the investment you've made with TM Group in the ERP, right, we can improve that integration, right, to make this a reality for our organizations and to be able to go directly out to consumer and start to capture more revenue share as we look to the future. Though as we say that, moving forward and evolving, right, is a challenge, right? And there's a lot of obstacles that definitely come into play, whether it's more competitors out there or the challenging marketplaces that organizations are attempting to deal with. We've seen distributors here have more and more obstacles to operate through on a day-to-day basis. And for the most part, I think these distributors have embraced e-commerce, right? And they understand that it is a path forward. But as they are adopting, right, and developing on new e-commerce platforms or moving or looking at different shopping carts, it's no longer just enough to have a web store, right? You have to offer a highly attractive, a premium quality integration back from your web store to your ERP to offer a stellar customer experience. And that's really where businesses are able to transform themselves and really differentiate themselves from any of the other organizations out there that also might be online. So what's the risk here as we talk about going online? Well, if you don't do it right, there can be a profound impact on your customers and your brand as you go online in particular, right? Customers' demands, even today, some of the more basic ones can be achieved pretty easily with the right data. I think the problem for most organizations as they look at the metrics is they don't have access to the right data. The systems are too disjointed. There's too many systems that are in place. So for many people, as they look to make these decisions, it's more of a shot in the dark in terms of how we proceed forward. Some have tried dropping their prices, but inevitably, as organizations look to purchase, it's not all about price, right? They're willing to spend more and pay you more if you're offering them more reliable service, a faster delivery turnaround, an easier navigate to use website with more robust product catalogs and a more simplified payment process embedded in your existing site. So I think this is important for people to understand and know is it's not just about getting there, right? It's about getting there and doing it right. And as an organization, how can we do it right with the technology we have in place or that we choose, knowing that our customers today are more sophisticated and that increased demand is right around the corner. We also note that e-commerce revenue is at stake, right? Organizations that don't have robust websites here note the decrease here in market share. With some organizations understanding that only a satisfactory website when put up or stood up and put in place, they're losing an average of 2% on their online revenue every year, right? Something that finding the system that's really built for your business that can be more tailored to offer that rich customer experience will pay dividends on an ongoing basis. And that's where really Sana is driving organizations here that are at the crossroads of going online or upgrading the existing system they have to do better, right? Ultimately, you know, thriving in this digital age is not a question of online or offline or price versus customer experience. It's about making your workforce more efficient and your business more streamlined by treating this digitization as a tool rather than viewing it as a roadblock. You know, getting pricing and service right is critical, right? Finding the right channels for you to make offline processes more efficient is also critical, right? You need to sync those channels to make sure that you have a single view of any behavior your customers might have within or outside of your organization. And to prepare for growth and scale, right? People go online many times, organizations are inundated with orders, and it quickly outpaces their internal staff and capacity to deliver as they take on new products or brands, right? Managing more SKUs is time, labor intensive for an organization, and it requires more headcount. It's not a real scalable path forward that people plan for. And not to mention the overall design, right? Or the upgrade of your ERP and what that's going to do to your web store in the future. All things to take into consideration as we need to get this right and prep for the future of our organization's path forward. So as we started, we then dig into manufacturers, where manufacturers are at. We've kind of transitioned here a little bit. And we note here that manufacturers and distributors and wholesalers now are selling directly to consumers, as we noted earlier, but the customer demand is giving, you know, manufacturers a competitive edge, right? These manufacturers want to buy directly, typically from an organization. And here, as we look at the volume of orders or the volume of purchases coming back, Forbes here predicts that the number of manufacturers selling directly to consumer will grow 71% this year alone. Just in this year, these distributors or manufacturers who have typically gone in their traditional sales road of more B2B are now going to go direct. More than almost three quarters. And 81% of U.S. customers expect that they'll make at least one purchase direct from a consumer brand within the next 5 years. So it's not just about buying all the time from Amazon. These guys want to come back and buy directly from you. So how do we put an engine in a utility in place that's as strong as Amazon that will accommodate this and allow us to capture that revenue share as opposed to losing it? And as we look at that, 40% of buyers today currently prefer to buying directly from a manufacturer, as I mentioned, 40%. And of those 40%, they're also willing to pay up to 20% more to buy directly from you. So what I'm telling you is go online, do it right. You'll have those customers here coming back to you, and that they're going to be willing to pay you more when they can count on your brand to deliver back to them. And they'll avoid having to go back out to Amazon or some of the other marketplaces of the world to get that same product or service that you could deliver to them. So direct-to-consumer sales, right, are driving, I think, a more competitive environment between manufacturers today and distributors. But manufacturers are raking in a large piece of that pie with how large the market stake is in the distribution space in particular. Keep in mind the manufacturing distribution space is 2 times the size of the retail market as we look at overall market opportunity. So there's a lot of money to be made out there, contrary to what most people think about. So next, we drive over to manufacturing businesses, right? And there's a lot of development changing in this place, whether it's machine-to-machine learning coming into the picture, IoT, 3D printing, AI. These aren't necessarily new things, but this is where people are, again, continuing to invest. And again, 67% noting that it will play a large role in their sales strategy or customer service strategy into the future, ensuring that we can know what a client's going to want, quickly allow them to reorder, and better serve them by knowing and personalizing that experience of them interacting with your organization. And again, this is something that's happening today, right? It's happening today, and we need to begin looking at if we want to be successful into the future. And that's where we turn to the customer centricity, right? As we look at that being our key differentiator as a brand from some of these other people in the marketplace. And that's where organizations or manufacturers here are making a shift from products to strong services as we look at what we've done. And as we look at our organization being a one-stop shop for organizations to come to us for clarity, document history, empowerment so your clients can self-serve inside of a portal, but also to speed up the overall service of getting their orders through or getting those returns processed in a fast manner with a portal. We also jump over to lean and agile manufacturing, right? And as businesses are out there, right, we recognize there's many challenges that organizations run into in particular, whether it's overproduction, right? Whether it's wait time, whether it's transportation or waste or defects. Agile manufacturing is all about the ability to quickly adapt to customer expectations. And that's one of the things that commerce can help with. And that's why manufacturers today are aiming to do both, right? As we look at being lean and agile to maximize the efficiency and improve the overall customer satisfaction that we're able to deliver out through commerce. And a web store is a great tool as you commercialize your departments to become agile and lean and ensure that we aren't siloed as an organization. And as a web store will allow your customers to directly communicate their needs back to you without having to go through the traditional sales channel of a sales representative or an account manager, right? We hear that a lot. People don't want to have to deal with the sales rep or an account manager anymore. They want to come through and automate. They want to self-serve. So how do we get there, right? How do we accelerate some of the challenges here or obstacles that we see manufacturers having? Well, I think with any challenge, right, there's new opportunities that are created. And with that, as we look to commerce, right, you can go direct to consumers. You can create additional revenue streams by expanding out to new channels. You can increase your, change your business model more rapidly. You can also continue to sell out through your traditional wholesale distribution type marketplace. And again, as we look at, some of the more the top e-commerce priorities in this space today, 81% of those surveys noted they wanted to increase their sales, followed by increased traffic to their overall commerce site. People get that if we can get our brands out there, we'll find more to come. It's that, hey, if you make it, they'll buy it. But to get there, there's challenges still threatening their success, even with the promise of these digital efforts or trends that we're talking about. And primarily that revolves back to data, right? Most organizations don't have good data transparency, or they have too many systems that are siloed, that aren't integrated. And for many manufacturers today, they're being outpaced by competitors in the supply chain, or they're not focusing on customer centricity. And those two typically will lead to some critical roadblocks here that are hindering manufacturers from achieving their full potential. And that's what Sana really focuses on, is how can we help you recognize that full potential and understand that the threats that are out there at this point, namely data and integration, can be overcome through a more tightly integrated system. And as we break that down, we get into data in particular. You see here, out of those surveys, almost 80% noted that they're working with one business system here will help them improve, right? And there's a very serious concern that they have, right? Getting the right data and the right client data in a single system, again, a very serious concern here for the organizations. Also, the product information, right? It's either not available or in a single system. Again, almost 80%. So some really strong notes here when it comes to data accuracy or integration. And as we look at the solution behind these, right, having a smart integration put in place, accessing the data you have inside of Microsoft Dynamics to take this information back out to your customers, using the ERP as a single source of truth, and having this digital transformation occur in our company, and ensuring that everything's connected and easier to optimize as we move forward. Whereas we talk about that, why are these key challenges all relatable to data, and why is it so important? Well, in the third report we ran here, we asked organizations, B2B in particular, how they use their data from their platform. And this isn't even all the answers we received, but just to keep the data more manageable, we narrowed it down to some of the more common answers that were given by about a quarter of the respondents. And as you see, the data from the web store is largely not being used to support or manage the processes across the entire business. But this, I think, makes sense because what a web store provides isn't just a convenient way for you and your clients to do business. It's also a way to build an audit trail of your customers' needs and interests. The data from your web store is a gold mine for many different silos in your business. And when it comes to commerce for manufacturing, the way data is managed is essential, which is why such huge proponents, which is why Sana is such huge proponents of the ERP integration. But before I think we dive into that, let's take a look why e-commerce, any kind of commerce, makes sense for manufacturers specifically, and how Sana fits in there, right? And I think as we look to execute strategies and mitigate all these risks, you need to find the right solution and the right partner. And as you look at what Sana structured for organizations as we built integration back to Microsoft Dynamics initially, it's future-proofing a business, right? Nearly half of all organizations today still are competing on price, right? Versus the enhancing the proposition, going to customer service, right? Going back to service and really focusing on that. And that's where Sana's really broken down some of the more key drivers here for your business. You look at your ERP you have in place, you have data, and you need that data real time in order to ensure that your clients can self-serve and manage data from a web store. You know they have unique demands. Those demands are ever changing. So that's why you put in place an easy to navigate, easy to modify and evolve web store. You have the goals of driving revenue, upsell, cross-sell occurring on the portal. Sana can deliver out accurate availability, stock, and price changes on the website, ensuring that you're able to capture all those orders and ensure client satisfaction in the website. Running more efficiently, again, typically lower on the list for organizations as you talk at generating revenue, but running more efficiently. And I think a lot of people have the misconception that you sell a complex product that can't be sold online. But more often than not, that's not the case. You can sell some of even the most complex things in a portal when you have a nice tight integration to maybe even a unique CPQ that you might have put in place that handles that complex ordering. That's something that Sana's also dealt with and works with. And then your path forward as you look at growth and scale, right? There's no better way to globalize your organization than going online, driving efficiency not only during your core office hours, but also in the off hours. And that's how Sana really helps organizations not only drive and capture revenue here, as you look at organizations starting to sell internationally, but there's many the areas that are not ready to happen, right? Whether it's expanding out your e-commerce to deliver have multiple delivery options or multiple languages or multiple currencies. There's things, again, that people put in place that will allow your business to grow even more. That can quickly be accomplished with an application like Sana as we access a lot of these core functions right from your native ERP, just exposing them online. So as we've talked about many different threats today, I think Sana can help organizations turn a lot of these threats into opportunities. When we deliver out our base platform, while you can sell B2B, you can also open it up to sell directly to consumer, right? You might be working with a particular marketplace today, we can open up and expand to multiple, right? You can expand out globally or internationally. You can bring on third-party tools or applications that help drive customer interaction on your website. All native things that Sana's brought into the platform, and as you look at how it's deployed, it ensures a nice, seamless, clean path forward. You have Dynamics in place today. You set up all that business logic and data. Sana rolls in a content management system, utilizes native web services from Microsoft to pull the information and data out to a front end, allowing you to control how it looks, how your client's treated, their experience, while accessing real-time back office data. We do that with fully responsive web stores, ensuring that the orders are captured from any device. We give you a web-based admin panel to control how your clients are created or treated. And we also do it with certified product integrations back to the entire Dynamics stack. So regardless of where you're at today or where you decide to move into the future, it's something that we can support. And to break it down a little bit further as we talk about that path forward, we recognize that there's different things that might occur today or in the future with your platform. You may be currently going through an upgrade of your current e-commerce platform or just the ERP. Sana has add-ons and integrations with all those ERPs. It quickly evolves as it also delivers a SaaS-based e-commerce platform. It has add-ons for many of the more common third-party integrations that might be necessary, although if you have more unique ones, we also have custom extension points or APIs that can be used to build out integrations to those. We ensure that Sana scales even to more enterprise transactional volumes by hosting its application out in Azure, ensuring that we can optimize the response time of the website now and in the future, and then offering an SDK kit and API that allows you to build on both the front and the back end, regardless of what work might have been done inside of the ERP. So whereas I highlight what I've kind of talked a little bit about so far today, many of you in the audience may be saying, well, hey, we're doing e-commerce today. It's working well. Well, I always kind of challenge people to say, with the simplicity of what I showed earlier, there are ways to, again, cut out the need for connectors, third-party hosting applications, external content management system, and the management of payment, freight, and tax directly from the shopping cart and centralize it back to the ERP. So keep in mind that this metric, again, can be cleaned up, and also this metric continues to scale and grow as we look at a path forward and evolution, right? As you have more channels, this spider web will grow and grow and grow. So Sana's focused on e-commerce, and when you say e-commerce to people, it means a lot of different things. So we have specialized in certain industries. We're more of a cross-industry type platform, regardless of what type of products or services you might be selling. I highlight here IHL Canada, right? An organization that is family owned. It's operated up in Canada. They have a 1,200 or so square foot warehouse, about a 40,000 square foot showroom. Their challenge as an organization here, as they went online in the early 2000s, was to find a way to better service their customers, right? To better push the data from their ERP out to all their channels, right? And to optimize mobile use. So they came to Sana with a few of those more common challenges, and as an end result, we're able to offer a more superior customer experience, ensuring accurate pricing, a richer product catalog, and always up-to-date bit of availability for these contractors who are more often than not ordering from them. And in a market where you have, you know, a quick need for product turnaround and need to rely on a brand that you're ordering from, they're not ever here having to go back to organizations and telling them that they're out of stock, because what they show, they know they have, and they know they can quickly deliver upon in the application. So as we talked about commerce at a high level, what I also wanted to do today was come in and actually show the application a little bit. And as we look at front ends and we looked at IHL's website, Sana has a variety of different templates and look and feels that allow an organization to highlight their products, their services, talk a little bit about what's unique about your product or your brand, what you're selling, and also drill into the buying experience, right? Going through that product hierarchy to find the relevant products that you might want to be selling and exposing this out. Today, I've highlighted an experience here we'd more typically see in a retail buying environment. And as we look at that, we're able to access and pull potentially attributes or product information or variants out of the ERP, allowing a customer to quickly filter through and find relevant items that they want to purchase. They can then drill down into a particular product, checking price, checking availability, looking at volume discount pricing, pulled from the ERP, supporting product information or attachments, and even an upsell, cross-sell. All that can be accessed natively from your ERP. Simply pulled out to the website front end, potentially some additional product information put into the Sana content management system to offer even more product information. So again, maybe marketing doesn't want to manage images back inside of the Dynamics database. Sana has table structure for that. And while I can obviously come into the shopping cart and check out as a new retail client, you also see the capacity for us to log in as a returning user, right? And whether that might be a hybrid environment where this is both retail and B2B, Sana also just has dedicated business-to-business type environments where I'm only allowing organizations to come to a dedicated website with a unique set of credentials. They log in. It recognizes that customer to hyper-personalize the environment. It knows what product catalog to expose to me. It also knows to show stock. It also knows to allow me to quickly place multiple orders from a single page, offering bulk ordering options or even upload options to quickly build that cart. And as we move through that cart process, not only capturing a sales order, but also a quote, right? So if we want quotes going back into the Dynamics database for forecasting purposes, or we want our sales reps interacting with our customers and our customers finalizing those quotes, the web store can be configured to not only capture orders, but also quotes, which for many organizations is becoming a real differentiator because it eliminates the need for these sales reps to have to manually send over an order form, it to be filled out, or to have it faxed over and then manually keyed in. We can now empower these organizations to process an order or a quote right from a browser. And as we kind of wrap this process up, as we take a look at this quote being captured, the bill to and ship to information can come from the ERP. A new one can also be captured. We can then automate calculation of tax, automate calculation of freight costs by either looking directly at the dynamics tables or doing a real-time API call out to the carrier of choice, knowing what the weight or dimensional weight of those products are, again, by Sana looking directly back at the ERP table structure. So in the end, we've been able to capture a unique purchase order, maybe some delivery instructions, and even capture a unique delivery date, all right via the portal. And in which case, this order or quote is being written directly back to the ERP. So back office is able to quickly pick, pack, and ship, or if this case, it's a quote, it can go into an approval process. And in this environment in particular, as we kind of finalize it out, and I show you the order that has now been created back inside of the ERP, I'm actually, while I've started it today as a customer, I'm actually going to jump out here as the customer, and I'm going to log in as a sales rep. All right, so maybe that sales rep associated with that account just received an email. Obviously, that quote is now back inside of Dynamics, sitting there, ready to be converted. I could quickly log in as a sales rep from the browser. I could look up a customer that I might want to service. You can see from this nice screen here. Once I've queried and found the relevant client, I can select that client's account. I can log into that account's history. I can jump over to that customer's quote history, and we can see that quote that was just generated a moment ago online by the customer. In which case, the sales rep or customer service representative is quickly able to come in here. He can edit this. He can modify it. He can add to it. If we allow, they can change price. And in the end, when I'm all done, I have a simple click to convert this quote to a sales order, which is now done. And you can see the quote number back in Dynamics is now in order. So that nice, clean, seamless experience of getting quotes in to now being converted to order is just a few clicks for the organization. I've done all this without having to go back to the Dynamics database and open an instance of it as a sales rep as well. So really empowering your external sales team or internal sales team as well to use a web-based application to self-serve. Jumping back in, not only do we have access to web-based transactions, but Sana is a full view and a mirror, really, of the Dynamics database. So any quotes, orders, invoices, returns are all visible out here. So again, your clients may be calling in for that information. You may be sending it to them via email once a week. They now have capacity to come in here and look at it whenever it's relevant for them, whenever it's convenient for them to do that through the browser UI. They can view invoices. They can also pay invoices. So I could actually eliminate the need to have an organization sending me a payment in the mail, right? You can direct people right back to a website, in which case they can actually view and pay an invoice. With that, while we talk about commerce today, while we talk about self-service, some of us may be on the phone and say, you know what, commerce is great. It's 6 to 9 months out for our organization. But you know what? Exposing documents out to our clients is extremely helpful, right? We have a lot of people today that call us for documents. They call us for information. Sana's also put together a customer portal. Customer portal would just allow a unique customer of yours access into a browser UI. And upon logging in, they just quickly have access to all that rich document history from Dynamics. They can come in here and they can view those invoices. They can choose to pay those invoices where it's one or many. And they're then granted the ability to then make a payment via credit card or ACH. So depending on what rights or authority they have, they can quickly come out to the website and make that payment, reuse a checking account that's on file, and obviously streamlining the timing to get you guys paid faster as a business or an organization. Again, things we do online every day, let's open up to your customers so they can do it every day as well with you guys. Streamline the need to manually process or apply a payment. This is auto-applying payments back to Dynamics here. All we have to do back in Dynamics now with an application like this in place is post it. So I've shown us a couple applications so far. I've showed us the Sana Commerce full-blown e-commerce platform. I've also shown us the scaled-back Sana customer portal. But both, again, may be different and needed at different times for different organizations that might be reviewing this today, but I thought it was good to share both with you guys. So as we kind of close out here today and talk about what we've seen, I think it's clear that the writing's on the wall. People are embracing new technology to ensure that we can keep up with customer demand. This trend is definitely going to continue. Organizations, your competitors you're going to start to see this more and more. It's critical to figure out the data you have, the systems you have, and to find ways for them to communicate, right? Make your decisions based on data. That's what's going to help you better service your clients and your customers feel treated better by you as we look to the web commerce experience that you're providing out to them. And Asana as an application is built for Microsoft Dynamics. It allows us to, again, bring that integrated approach back to manufacturers that will allow you to become more lean and agile and future ready. There is some additional data that I have that I would invite you guys to download. This report you can see found here. If you want this, feel free to reach out to TM or us, and we'd be happy to provide it back. But a nice, rich report that talks about some of the additional trends that we didn't cover today, as well, that we're seeing in the industry with some great industry metrics that I'm sure you guys could appreciate. If you guys have additional comments or questions, we'll stay online for a little bit here to answer any of them you might have. Otherwise, feel free, again, to reach out to your account manager, I'm sure, at TM or to Asana directly, and we'd be happy to help you guys.
Thank you so much, Giuseppe. It doesn't look like we have any questions at the moment, but do you have any frequently asked questions that you'd like to answer?
Sure. Yeah, I always tell people, I mean, as we look at the applications we showed today, Sana from an overall platform standpoint is, I would say, priced aggressively for the market. We have a simple subscription cost and a one-time installation cost. From an overall implementation into Dynamics, it is fixed in its overall cost to get in. So we know what it takes to get this done for Microsoft Dynamics. The application that I highlighted today on average takes 2 to 3 months to deploy and implement for an organization. I know that's usually one of the first questions we hear out of people's mouths. It does support both B2C and B2B, as well as the capacity to get salespeople or customer service in there. And as I highlighted, it is 2 distinct applications that can be deployed, either the full-blown customer portal that has the nice, rich customer service entity built in, or full-blown commerce. So depending on what might be right for your organization, we do have 2 different offerings. It does vary or change the cost because obviously one has less work and effort put into it when it just comes to setting up the standard customer portal, but also is something that we can migrate over a client on if they want to start with the customer service side, then move to full-blown commerce later. The engine's still the same. So a few things I always like to highlight and share with organizations. If you want to see a more extensive demo, again, please feel free to just reach out. We'd be happy to organize and align that as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Giuseppe, for presenting today, and to Sana. And thank you to everyone who joined us today for this webinar, and I hope everyone has a great rest of your week.
Thank you.